Good morning and welcome. My name is Sasha Twining. I am your host for today for this, the 9th meeting of the JTF. Oh, I heard some whoops in the background already. Marking, 3 years since the establishment of the JTF, and it is lovely to see you here in this very full room. And also, if you are joining us online as well, we have some 700 people registered online, so very much a joint conference with everybody here and everyone online as well. So welcome to you wherever you are in your just transition journey. In fact, actually, let's find out. I said this was the 9th meeting. Who has been to one of these meetings before? Raise your hand for me. Fabulous, okay. I have to say it's a relief that the Commissioner has just put her hand up. And raise your hand for me if this is the first time. Wonderful. Actually, if you're at the front, keep your hands up for a moment. If you're at the front, have a look round. Lots of new people. So welcome, and it is lovely to have you here. Now, those joining us online, feel free to introduce yourself, and especially if this is the first time that you've joined us as well. Use the swap card Q&A function. Give us your name, tell us where you're from, and give us your thoughts and your opinions as we go through today as well. For those who are joining us online, I'm going to involve them as much as I possibly can. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. We are translating today into 6 languages. Everything on this stage will be English, but if you would like translation, we are using the Interactio app. The easiest way of getting hold of it is the QR code, which you can see on the screens to either side of the stage. So you'll see the Wi-Fi code there, and then the code for Interactio. So if you want to download it onto your phone, it's a very small app. You can delete it afterwards if you want. And the code is there. And then you can listen in your chosen language. We have English, Czech, Polish, Greek, French, and Spanish. If you are listening online, we also have interpretation for you as well. You just need to put the word JTP April 24 online in the app to find it. And the other thing to mention, fire exits, you will find those to the left-hand side of the stage as you are seated. This is going to be a really exciting day because, as I mentioned, this is now the 9th meeting, and it's a great place to be because we are now starting to see the implementation of the projects. So in lots of different places along the journey, you are going to hear today from those who are still at the beginning or also beginning to see tangible results. And that's what we've done over the next couple of days. Brought together people who can share those tangible results and also share the challenges and the great positives that they've had so far on their journey. So I would really encourage you, either online or here in the room, to share your experiences. This is what it's all about. Engaging, and I think a lot of celebration as well over the next couple of days as we see what is really happening as we progress. So, I think the best place to start is by welcoming someone who is so closely involved and committed to this process. Very committed and very involved. Ladies and gentlemen, dear delegates, please welcome the Commissioner for Cohesion and Reforms, Commissioner Elisa Ferreira. Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Hello, good morning to all of you. You are most welcome, the usual ones and the new ones in particular. And particular welcome to ministers, to deputy governors, friends, I'd prefer to call you Europeans and friends of just transition. I would like to start by welcoming, in fact, all of you on the Just Transition, on the conference, 9th conference, on the Just Transition platform. When we set up the Just Transition mechanism, and it was already 4 years ago, we had a lot of questions. We still have some, but some of them are becoming, the answers are becoming very, very clear. And our basic concern was, can we help all regions to successfully navigate from a past kind of economic profile into the green transition? Is green transition something feasible, something that doesn't damage the social fabric and the economic fabric? Can we ensure that the vulnerable regions and the vulnerable groups are not left behind in this process of transition? And can we create a community of practice to help each other to drive through this process? And today we are, in fact, already having a lot of answers, because all this is actually happening. Today, in this room, we see a well-established community of partners and practitioners. Across Europe, you are actually delivering projects on the ground. And we are doing this together in a way that is tailored to each specific region, in a way that caters to the specific needs of each of these regions and to what they see as their own future, their ambitions for the future. And so this is very important for these regions, but there is much more value to it than just the mere actions in each of these regions, because the Just Transition mechanism and fund, they are a clear example of what it means in reality to deliver a place-based policy, coordinated between the European Commission, national, regional governments, but tailored by local partners for local people, helping each region to make the most of future transitions and economic changes, because all of us know that the future will bring many more transitions. In some sectors and some regions, it is already happening for other sectors. So we need to understand the methodologies to drive these transitions, minimizing the social and economic cost in the regions that are affected. So already we have achieved a lot in these few short years, but this is just beginning. There is still a lot of work to be done. As you know, in some member states, the process is well advanced, with nearly half of the budget already programmed. This is quite remarkable, and we'll see some examples here today. While in others, the project selection process has only just started. So I encourage you all to invest yourselves in implementation. Your plans must be very quickly translated into concrete actions. So let us make full use of the many opportunities to accelerate implementation. For example, and I would like to underline this aspect, the 5.9 billion euros have recently been released and distributed, representing, as you know, 30% of each of the region's envelope. It has just been released under the STEP initiative, which stands for Strategic Technologies for Europe platform. And of course, the many forms of support under the Just Transition platform. I will highlight 3 key forms of support. First, in 2024, we will support another 16 Just Transition Fund territories with capacity building on the ground, so technical support through the JTP groundwork tool that was launched last year, as you obviously remember. We want to support as many projects as possible, and I am delighted to announce that all the requests were of very good quality, so we'll support all those that applied. The second form of support that I would like to underline is the many peer-to-peer exchanges, speaking with partners, people that are going through the same process, between different JTF regions planned for the coming months, exchanges of knowledge, exchanges of good practices. We don't have always to be reinventing the wheel. So let's share with each other what we can learn from each other. For example, over 60 representatives of different stakeholder groups will be part of the new JTP working groups, focused on stakeholder engagement and equal opportunities. And as this is the European Youth Week, I find it highly appropriate that we have created a space for youth with a dedicated JTP Youth Task Force. And every time I visit one of the regions, I always try to speak with the young people, because I think we need their energy, their imagination, their strength in order to rebuild a new ecosystem, a freshened up society and economy in those areas. So I invite youth representatives to bring their ideas, their energy to the Just Transition platform. The third form of support that I would like to underline is over 150 experts in the JTP expert database. They are at your disposal for help with design, with identification, selection of excellent projects that will transform lives and regional economies. And of course, this living transformation is at the heart of our work. We look forward to hearing today about great projects. I already started a dialogue with those that came from Netherlands and from Slovakia, Poland, Portugal, Sweden, among so many others being developed all across the European Union. Let us all inspire ourselves from these projects, which are transforming economies and creating new opportunities, new jobs, new communities that are future-oriented. I am delighted too that over the next 2 days, we'll hear the voice from the ground, representatives of trade unions, local authorities, the civil society in general. You have a unique perspective. Local transformation plans will not work without your input and your engagement from a constructive kind of approach. And indeed, I am looking forward to hearing in a moment my colleague, also Commissioner Kadri Simson, addressing this important topic of how to empower citizens. This afternoon, we'll be joined by Minister Katabi, Belgium Federal Minister for Climate, the Environment, Sustainable Development and the Green Deal. We look forward to hearing about their work on the just transition, and you'll hear about Belgian efforts to involve all the different stakeholders in the design, implementation, evaluation of just transition policies, and how Belgium, now at the presidency, will be acting on these in the presidency and in the council, in the presidency of the council, so as a country and as a presidency. And since it is the European Year of Skills, and we have a particular focus on green skills and green jobs, I am also very pleased that my colleague, Commissioner Nicolas Schmit, will close the conference tomorrow afternoon. So as you can see, today there will be a vast buffet of ideas to inspire you. as well as opportunities to exchange ideas and find extra little bit that you need in terms of support. And this is my key message to all of you today. We are all together. We know that it is complex, but we can do it. And we are in a listening mode. We are listening to you, and we are trying always to adapt and to do what we can in order to make your life simpler and the projects more deliverable. So draw on the community of practice, draw on the various experts and support mechanisms, and see your hopes and ideas translated into the transformation of your cities, of your regions. So let's go to work, and I look forward to listening to you and to our discussion. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner, come and take a seat. Come and take a seat. I have to say, a just transition buffet. I love that. With lots and lots of different people to help and to guide you in the right direction. And we do have those people, as the Commissioner was saying here today. I will explain how you can get conversations with them a little bit later. But I'm also very pleased to say we have another welcoming conversation, another welcoming speech today. This one to remind us why the JTF is so important. So, dear delegates, let us now hear from the Commissioner for Energy, Commissioner Kadri Simson.
Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to welcome you to the Just Transition Platform Conference. As always, it's a great moment for national, local and regional authorities, as well as economic and social partners to gather and discuss our path towards a sustainable and climate-neutral economy. Today and tomorrow, you'll have the opportunity to attend many different sessions. This will give you the chance to exchange good practices of harnessing opportunities, including for the energy transition in coal and carbon-intensive communities. But this conference is by no means the only platform for discussing these important issues. This spring, for instance, we are organizing 3 dialogues on energy efficiency as part of the Citizens Dialogues project. Ladies and gentlemen, the energy transition is well underway. In 2023, we accelerated the shift away from fossil fuels. For the first time, electricity generated from fossil fuels accounted for less than a third of the EU's electricity mix. Between 2022 and 2023, coal generation fell by 26% to its lowest level ever. Coal generation is now at half of what it was in 2016. This structural decline will continue as 1/5 of the EU's coal fleet is set to shut down this year or the next. Yet turning away from coal didn't mean an increase in gas. Gas generation was also down by 15% last year, the 4th consecutive year of gas generation decline. And all of this has happened during an unprecedented time for the EU's energy system, brought on by Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the energy crisis. In terms of renewables phase-in, we saw a lot of progress in 2023. Renewables provided a record high of 44% of EU electricity in 2023, surpassing the 40% mark for the very first time. And thousands of jobs are being created to support this development. In 2022, the sector was responsible for 650,000 jobs, a number which is rapidly increasing towards 1 million. But all this means is that we are in the middle of a monumental shift. It also means that we cannot get complacent now. We still have a lot of work to do, both to further reduce greenhouse gas emissions and ensure a social and fair transition. In February, the Commission recommended reducing the EU's net greenhouse gas emissions by 90% by 2040 compared to 1990. Seen from the energy portfolio, this target is not a long shot. It is cost-effective and feasible, putting us on course towards climate neutrality by 2050. It also gives citizens, businesses, and investors greater predictability in the long term. And that will ensure that resources invested now and in the future are compatible with the EU's pathway to climate neutrality. Ultimately, all of this will boost our competitiveness and strengthen our strategic autonomy. Just as important is the social dimension of this transformation. We need our transition to climate neutrality to be socially just for all EU citizens, particularly the coal and carbon-intensive communities. And this is exactly what you are working for. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you will find the conference inspiring and make the most of all the sessions. But what's especially important over these 2 days is to hear from you. Tell us about what works or doesn't work in your regions. Only by working together can we succeed in ensuring the energy transition is just and fair for every EU citizen. Before I conclude, let me also pass an invitation to this year's political dialogue for coal regions in transition. It will take place in Velenje in Slovenia at the beginning of July and will bring together political leaders and other stakeholders from the coal, peat and oil shale regions in transition. They will reflect on achievements and challenges of the fossil fuel phase-out, and I hope that many of you will be able to attend. I wish you a fruitful and enriching conference. Thank you for your attention.
Commissioner Simson, thank you. And Commissioner Ferreira, I have to say, very much you get the feeling that, yes, today is exciting, there's a lot to talk about, but it has to be frank and open. These are times, these are the opportunities to say what you are doing, but also what else you need as well.
Yes, Sasha, that's exactly the point of getting together. Because I've said it since the beginning, that this is, playing with different instruments is not easy, and devising a vision for an area that in a lot of the regions that we are talking about was a mono industry. It was really the only source of employment. And sometimes some of the areas are far away from urban areas. There are areas that have the benefit of having a university or technological center or a big city close by. So the chances for diversification, they are easier. In other places, you are virtually in the middle of nowhere, and you have a whole community that depended on the mines. And so it's difficult to devise an alternative. And it is also not so easy to combine different sources of finance and making the most out of it. Having said this, that we knew since the beginning, we start seeing that in spite of these difficulties, things are moving. And things are moving in generally all over the place. We have regions that have already engaged, so they know where to use the money, about 50% of the fund that they have available. You have a lot of regions with 30%, and the process is moving. So the point of getting together is to look, okay, what can we do extra? And on the other hand, what can we learn from each other? Because the mechanisms are more or less the same all over Europe. And so what have others solved, and how can we learn from each other? So it's really a frank, open discussion that we are aiming at. And I think it worked in the previous events. And this is why we are in the 9th meeting, and there are always more people joining in. And we are starting to be able to show good examples of implementation that is already starting. And this is the kind of message that I would like to start with.
You're absolutely right. It's very, very engaging. If this is your first time here, it is very open, very frank. I have to say, I love your expression that there are some projects in the middle of nowhere. Anyone in the room that feels that their project is in the middle of nowhere? Yes. Definitely. This is your chance to all come together. So let me now introduce our first participants on stage, the first projects. If you would save your applause for the end for me. So if I could welcome on stage from Slovakia, we have Lukas Turiak. From Greece, we have Christos Lampropoulos. From the Netherlands, we have Hank Emmins. From Portugal, we have Jorge Brando. From Sweden, we have Frederick Gramberg. And from Poland, Jan Bundarek. Ladies and gentlemen, our first participants. Lovely to have you here, really, really lovely to have you here. Now, you may notice that they have been deliberately chosen, north, south, east, west, and central. We hope to give a very comprehensive picture, but also you will hear that these are projects in different stages and tackling different challenges as well. So all sorts of different ideas for you. We've asked all of our participants to take just a couple of minutes to outline where they are from and what they are trying to tackle. So Lukas from Slovakia, Lukas Turiak, if you'd like to tell us about your geothermal district heating plant, please.
Yes, thank you very much, dear ladies and gentlemen, Madam Commissioner. It is my privilege to present you the project of geothermal district heating plant in Košice. As you can see, the project is located in the eastern part of Slovakia, near city of Košice, which is the second largest city in our country. First of all, I'd like to say that this project isn't a recent endeavor at all. Actually, the initial drilling began over 25 years ago, but after a short time, the project was halted. So, what was the reason? Well, the primary obstacle was a lack of funding, even though this wasn't the sole factor. Historically, easy access to an affordability of fossil fuels made them the preferred source of energy. So, however, nowadays with the shifting geopolitical dynamics and energy crisis, and most importantly, an emphasis on just transition within the cohesion policy, the project is now gaining a strong momentum. And it will be supported with more than 56 million from Just Transition Fund. With the cooperation of different stakeholders, we made this project one of our top priorities within TJTP. The project was endorsed by all socioeconomic partners and received the status of so-called national project. But let's move on now to the present. The uniqueness of the project lies in its scale, since it will be the largest geothermal district heating plant in Central Europe. The project is basically composed of two parts. The first is to build a 15 kilometers heat pipeline to deliver geothermal energy to the city of Košice. A second part consists of making operational 3 existing geothermal wells and drilling 3 additional boreholes to increase the final capacity to 30 megawatts of heat energy. Such capacity will generate every year around 174 gigawatt hours of heat energy. Putting this into perspective, a quarter of the energy needs of the heating company will be replaced by geothermal energy. A heating company that is providing energy, electricity, hot water, and heat for more than 170,000 inhabitants. Another benefit that this project is going to bring is that it will completely phase out the use of coal for district heating in the city of Košice, and it will also significantly reduce gas consumption and CO2 emissions. Once the project is finalized and completed, we expect that also the air quality in the area will be improved, and that also energy prices for the citizens will become more stable. Last but not least, the project is designed to be scaled up, with the potential to provide much more energy in the future, up to 90 megawatts, as you can see. This can open, of course, so many opportunities in using geothermal energy for local entrepreneurs, municipalities, or even citizens to stimulate job creation in the areas such as agriculture, local cooling or heating systems, or even recreational activities. So now you can imagine that the entire microeconomy can be built around this very complex project, benefiting the whole region in so many ways. Thank you for your attention.
Lucas, thank you very much. Really interesting that it was a project which was almost shelved and now has been reignited, if you excuse the expression, with so much more interest and the funding as well, with the potential to go further as well. So many different communities that you've just mentioned within the project. We will touch on those later and find out how you've interacted with those communities. Thank you. Let's move now from Slovakia to Greece. We have Christos here. Christos, who will be talking about your bioeconomy hub. So tell us about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about our plans in Megalopolis, which is one of the regions that is being affected by digitalization in Greece. Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, just transition is a great challenge for the region of Peloponnese for the 5-year period 2024 to 2028. This is not only because it directly affects 4 of the 26 municipalities of the region of Peloponnese and indirectly affects more than half of its population, but also because both the country and the region of Peloponnese are strategically placed in the green transition and the leap into the new modern era. In the region of Peloponnese, regarding the territorial plan of Megalopolis, projects with a total budget of 92 million euros have been approved for financing, of which 8.5 million pertain exclusively to Megalopolis. Up to now, we have achieved certain stages and all processes have been accelerated so that 2024 will be the milestone year when there will be visible results. In the first 2 months of 2024, the special urban plan was pre-approved and we are waiting for its final approval in the next few months so that the land uses and areas for receiving new investments have been fully determined. Among the land uses, we consider that the zoning of industrial uses has priority, followed by the licensing of a business industrial park in Megalopolis. There are already 3 in-principle preferred positions with varying degrees of maturity for that park. In addition to the previous ones, they are already moving forward for the integration of investments, training of the unemployed, rehabilitation of public power corporation workers in the context of the acceleration of all procedures. For the training and retraining programs that ran in the previous 2 years, we found the various problems in planning and communication, and we communicate with the special service of managing the program for the improvement of young people so that they are more efficient. Business support programs concern budgets from 20,000 euros to 40 million euros are effective now. 5 of them are effective, and the interest shown is quite high. The program of Megalopolis also includes a series of emblematic actions, of which I would like to make a brief reference to the Bioeconomy Hub, as you said before, which is a landmark work. The Bioeconomy Hub of Megalopolis is a strategic project which is the accelerator of the transition of the local economy to the post-lignite era with activities of agri-food, circular and mountain economy, bioenergy, and digital agriculture. Infrastructure is being developed in the 4 municipalities of the region. These are the municipalities of Megalopolis, Tripolis, Gortynia, and Ichalia, covering the needs of entrepreneurship, support, applied research, education, and new product development. The Bioeconomy Hub combines the functions of Innovation Zone, Business Park and Agro-Logistics Center, and Business Support Center. With the investment, which in its first phase amounts to 35 million, which is almost 10% of the program, the creation of 1,000 positions of employment is sought, additionally supported by projects that contribute to reversing the demographic trends of the region, both in absolute sizes and in age composition. I have to say now that in the area, the population decreased more than 15% between 2011 and 2021. As I mentioned at the beginning, the region of Peloponnese gives first priority among all its actions to the success of the implementation of the Just Transition Plan. We recognize that the resources available from the European Union for megalopolis are extremely increased, and we wish not only to absorb them in a timely manner, but also efficiently. We collaborate with all the agencies for the most effective planning of invitations and program guides, especially in matters of social direction. We plan to immediately inform investors all over Greece, at least all over Greece, about the opportunities presented in megalopolis and about the high incentives that exist so as to attract investments, especially labor-intensive and high-tech profile, taking advantage of the region's privileged provision in agri-food sector, in its high archaeological cultural reserve, the existence of the Peloponnese University, which will be a partner in the bioeconomy hub, and its pivotal position in the center of Peloponnese, which ensures good access, and we believe that in the next conference, we will not be in the beginning of the program in megalopolis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can I just clarify, did you say the population fell by 50?
By 15.
15, 1-5.
Yes, 15.
I just wanted to, but a real challenge there, a population falling by 15%. I mean, that will be a challenge that so many people in this room and watching online can really resonate with, the population falling. So you've got business parks, sustainable agriculture, you've got education, you're bringing everyone together and hopefully seeing results in 2024 from your bioeconomy. Christos, thank you very much. Thank you. Lots there to talk about. So from Greece, let us now move to the Netherlands. Henk Emmens is here to talk about, or to talk from the province of Groningen, to find out about the closure of the gas field and what you are putting in its place and what is happening there. Project that many people will already know about. Very pleased that you're here today with us.
I'm going to stand up, is that okay?
Oh, please do.
Thank you, Sasha, for your kind introduction. Commissioner Ferreira and Commissioner Simson, who's not here, thank you for the warm introduction and inspiring words. I'm from the province of Groningen. There's, if the slide is going on, there's in the northern part of the Netherlands and also a part of Drenthe. Another province is now GTF project. About 60 years ago, we discovered the largest gas field, natural gas field in Europe, under our soil in Groningen. That brought us a lot of prosperity. But in these days, the last 20 years, we discovered that the gas mining created all kinds of earthquakes, which happened that buildings were going to collapse or being destroyed. Now with the ban on fossil fuels, we said we have to do something here. Because the fossil industry, gas and natural oil, is big in the northern part of Netherlands. About 20,000 people are working there. And in the northern part is also 20% of the industry products are made in the northern part of Groningen and in Drenthe. So there's a big, giant task we have there, how to make the green transition, as the Commissioner was talking about. We said that we will have a lot of experience with cohesion funding. We are 20 years, we do the European Fund on Regional Development. We are interested in that one as well. And we said we have about 300 million euros worth of money to invest in the Just Transition Fund. We do it in program lines. One is invest in industry, one is invest in green economy, and one is invest in people and in education. So that's very important to make those three steps each time. But more important is our program is designed for the small entrepreneurs. And more important than that, cooperation between the small entrepreneurs and universities and higher vocational institutions and also government. So in this project, Greenwise Campus, it's in the town of Emmen. All three parts are coming there together. We invest in buildings, we invest in innovation, we invest in students, we invest in people and in employment. So that's a very good project, how we work on that thing. We have brochures, it's also on the tables over there, with 10 projects already committed. So we are good on our part of committing all the money, so that's very, very happy. For the 300 million, about 200 million is already dedicated in projects, so that's a lot of projects going on. In the beginning, you asked Sasha, what do you need in this program? very important is transition does not happen overnight. And what we need is time to finish our projects. And I know the budgetary 7 years is very restrictive. But yeah, as you told, STEP helps us a lot in our projects. But I think we could use a little bit more time in making the projects work, making the program work. So 7 years, and we already started 2 years later due to all deliberations in the European Union and in the Netherlands as well. We only have 5 years to make projects work, and our experience is projects take longer time than that. So if there's room and time to extend projects, we would be very happy. Thank you very much.
Hank, thank you very much. I like your focus on, and it echoes what the Commissioner was saying, young people, students, bringing those groups together and concentrating on education as well. A lot of your money, a lot of your funding already allocated to students, to younger people.
A lot of young people are students, yes.
Yeah.
We stimulate innovation, but also entrepreneurship, because they work together with the small entrepreneurs in the projects.
We will definitely talk about innovation and entrepreneurship, because I know that that's something that is high on everybody's list of priorities, bringing the entrepreneurs in, the small, young SMEs and startups, and encouraging that diverse economy. Henk, thank you very much. Let's move now from the Netherlands to Portugal. I said we were going to go everywhere, so we're now going to the centre of Portugal and looking at the change from the coal-fired power plants and how they interact with the steel industry. So, Jorge.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to be in this conference. In concrete, the case of Central Portugal and in Médio Tejo, Commissioner talked about some territories with low density, rural areas with small and fragile economies. That's the kind of the situation of Médio Tejo. I came from the managing authority of the regional program. So we manage 3 funds, ERDF, ESF, and GTF. And GTF, we are talking about 65 million euros. And why GTF in Médio Tejo? In November 21, we have the closure of Pego Coal thermoelectric power plant. And in this moment, the closure had a very positive impact in this territory with the big reduction of greenhouse emissions. We estimate in 73% of reduction of the emissions in Médio Tejo, but also with very negative impacts in the economy of the Médio Tejo. We have a loss of 120 direct jobs. We estimate in 300 indirect jobs. We lost almost 90 million euros of value each year. So our concern, first of all, was with the people who lost their jobs. In November 21, we had no yet the regional program, so Portuguese government with national funds began to support people who lost their jobs. So when we had the regional program in December 22, our main concern was with measures in middle long-term impact. And the objective is to promote the diversification of the economy, to attract investment to Médio Tejo, and we opened several calls to companies, namely non-SMEs companies, to invest in Médio Tejo. This company, Mom Steel Power, is one of the examples of projects we are financing in this moment. We have in this moment 7 projects approved, They represent 51 million euros of investment with a support of GTF in 25 million euros. And we are trying to support innovative business investments that can generate qualified jobs and can create value in the economy. And this investment must be aligned with climate transition investments. That example, this company are investing in solutions to support photovoltaic power plants. So that's an important investment that we are supporting in the Middle Tejo. We have other calls open with new proposal of projects, and we are continuing in this path. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's still ongoing. You're still in the process of choosing and working out how you want to shape your economy. And I think what you've mentioned about people losing jobs, the lack of employment in an area, particularly a rural area such as yourselves, that will really resonate with this room. How do you retrain and keep those people coming in or keep them there? So important. George, thank you so much. Let's move now to Sweden and hear about the production of climate neutral hydrogen. Fredrik, would you like to talk us through your project?
Yeah, thank you, Sasha. Yeah, dear Commissioner, dear Sasha and audience, I'm here today representing the project Hydrogen Labs, located in northern Sweden in the Arctic climate. And with the financing, making this possible from the Just Transition Fund and through the Swedish Agency of Economic and Regional Development. And well, some facts about our region. It's a quite large region, the county of Norrbotten, 100,000 square kilometers. Actually three times the size of Belgium, just our county. So, but not so much people in our region, 250,000 inhabitants. So that's a challenge by itself, that we are so little in density of people. But yeah, but our county, we're a net exporter of renewable power, mainly from hydropower and wind power. Yeah, we have a strong mining industry of iron ore, copper ore, and also at the moment there is an establishment of a graphite mine that is very important for if you think about hydrogen production and critical raw materials. We are strong in steel production, and yeah, we have SSAB, and we have the H2 Steel Initiative, building a new steel mill right now. We have a strong tradition of forest industry in our region, and we have our university, Luleå University of Technology, and we also have 2 institutes acting in our region. So you can say we have a well-functioning society, but it's relatively small. So you can say then that I think we have quite good preconditions, but and the energy transition is actually going on right now, driven by fossil-free steel making, going from fossil energy to renewable energy, mostly in the form of hydrogen. But this is, of course, also a big challenge. So we need an enormous amount of new renewable power to make this happen, producing all the energy power needed and hydrogen, about 100 terawatt hours of new renewable energy to be produced, taking into perspective that we in Sweden produce today 160 terawatt hours approximately, so almost doubling it to make this happen. Yeah, we need to distribute the power with new grids. It can also be with the hydrogen pipelines. We are not the gas country in Sweden, so we don't have an existing pipeline infrastructure that we can retrofit or so. We need to build new pipelines in that case. We need to implement these new technologies. Yeah, we are actually facing about an investment of 120 billion euros right now to materialize. And to do that, we need to found and do this in a sound pathway together with existing society, thinking about the existing businesses, the reindeer herding business, the forest industry, and so on. So we need a lot of existing skills, but we need also to reskill and upskill, and we need more people with skills to make this happen. So that's a big challenge for our municipalities in our region. So, and Sweden is also a recent new member in NATO, so we'll see what will happen with that. We don't know all yet, I guess. But I think hydrogen is a nice pathway in this energy transition. It can really be a key enabler in many ways as an energy carrier. So the Hydrogen Labs project is actually one of 2 Just Transition Fund projects that Luleå University is hosting. We have also another one called Finest. But in this project, we have a quite nice group. The university, the steel mill H2 Green Steel, we have an energy company, we have a pulp company, so we can talk about sector couplings, showing that. So we will focus on increased knowledge on hydrogen production in Arctic conditions. We will do research on process optimization to do it more energy efficient and more cost efficient, the production of hydrogen. We will explore operability on hydrogen production through hands-on experience. We need to do things and learn and try to find out the unknowns to really be prepared to do this transition. So, happy to be here today and look forward to the panel discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You are fighting, I'm going to use that word advisedly, fighting for the skills that you need in the hydrogen industry, because it is, as you say, an area that is very, very popular, needed. Those skills are fought over. And you are right in that very rural, northerly part of Sweden. I imagine it is tricky to find the right person with the skills that you need and then convince them to come. I'm sure it's beautiful. I'm sure it's very beautiful. But you've got that double challenge when everyone is looking for the same skills and you are in a very isolated but beautiful area. We'll talk about how you sort of get those people to come to you, because I know that's a challenge lots of people have. Let us now finally move to Jan and Poland. Now, what you're going to hear next is a really interesting example of actually a test bed. So a test bed to help lots of other projects, so we can all learn from what's happening in Poland. Jan.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me today, dear Commissioner, dear colleagues, and I dare to say, dear friends. I'm very glad that this project has been included in the today's discussion, because I believe this is a pure example of that what Commissioner mentioned, evidence-based policy. That is the background of this project. One of the barriers that has been identified many years ago, I would like to remind you that the transition process began in our region in the early 90s. So we are more or less 30 years in this process. And the output of the process, the negative output of the process, was the post-mining and post-industrial areas. It's good to know that those areas are dispersed, are placed in the vicinity of the urban areas, or even surrounded by the urban areas. So it is not easy to hide them and to forget about these problems. It exists every day, and this is something that was very high in the strategic goals of our region, and therefore the system was the answer for the identified lack of information what is inside in those areas. Why are those areas are not so interesting and so intensively redeveloped by investors? So we start with this project early 2008. It was a study, how many these kind of areas are available in our region. The next phase was the OPTPP, that time without any numbers. This one, OPTPP 2.0, is now implemented. You can see some screenshots of the existing project, and now we are having accepted the next phase, OPTPP 3.0. All of those activities were strongly supported, and I am probably the only one person which is not complaining about money, because it was supported by the regional authority, and we are doing all of those activities with the partnership of the regional authority. I am representing Silesia region, Central Mining Institute. We are located in Katowice, in the capital city of this region. And this system, as you can see, is something which we are not only very proud of, but this is a kind of strategy to transfer good practices among other regions. And that was very intensively promoted, not only in Poland, but also in Ukraine and Baltic regions via the secretariat that we were also a part within the last 3 years. Coming back to the system, those small pictograms that you can see on the picture, this represents different algorithms and tools that are implemented. The system itself is constructed in a way that the basement of the system is a database. There is more than 50,000 different types of records included. And on the next level, there are algorithms to giving very simplified and very easy to access tools for the investors, for the public and for the private investors. Our aim is to support the transition process in our region. Therefore, this system is now implemented as an assessing tool for the Just Transition Fund as a, let's say, background for decision makers to be 100% sure that we have area that were directly or indirectly affected by mining. So this is something to give the decision makers, our regional authority, good evidence for making a decision what and how should be financed. We are having post-mining areas and post-industrial areas because some of them were only indirectly related to the mining activities. During the study, because that was not only collecting data, but we did a number of analyses to analyze the environmental conditions, water conditions, soil conditions, and also to put all of those data in the system as our input. But as usually in this kind of system, there is one main barrier. The barrier is that most of those information and data are dispersed in the different institutions. So our goal, our effort was to complete all of those data and to put it in a way that everybody can get access directly within few clicks. As you can see, there is some benchmark algorithms, so investors can also find out the best, the most appropriate areas for their investor activities. So this is something also to mobilize funding and also to attract different ideas on that area. So this is the background. Up to now, it's 340 post-mining areas which are 100% described in the system, more than 6,000 hectares covered by the system, and 4,000 hectares with the post-industrial area. So this is our, let's say, treasure that we would like to sell for development of our region. I'm very glad that all of you can access to this system to assess if this work is something interesting for you, can be transferred to your regions. We can also support it because it's not a rocket science. It's quite simple, as you can see, but I believe that this kind of integration of different data into one place, this kind of interdisciplinary works also creates new competences, and that's why our institute is very keen on to continue. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you. It's so true that when an investor or a new business wants to look at an area, and if it is a former mining site, they are going to want to know what is in the land. Is it polluted? How much is it going to cost them to clean it up? What are the facilities there? And you can't do that without data, which is what Jan and his team are doing. And Commissioner, I saw you nodding and leaning forward and listening to that, because unless you have the data on the land that could be used for something else, it's very difficult to attract people in. They don't know what they're getting.
Yes, there is a noise going on. Yes,
Try again. There we go.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And I think all these presentations, or almost all of them, have somehow gone over the pure discussion of what are you going to build and support in each of the areas. Because, and in particular, the last approach shows how much we are starting to develop knowledge and engaging the know-how from universities, from technological centers, into the whole discussion of how we are going to manage this transition. So I find this a very special aspect, but from a qualitative approach, this is extremely, extremely interesting and important, also for other transitions. And when you were presenting, I mean, the characteristics of the different areas, this will tend to evolve into what are the activities that can find a locational advantage in going into those areas. I've been visiting almost all of the areas that are here, almost all. But in fact, when you look at these areas, and I remember being in the Netherlands, for instance, and being surprised how many engineers, how many people were already working in the understanding how you could abstract the gas without creating these earthquakes, and how much knowledge there was there already. Also in Silesia, in Katowice, you see that there is this knowledge, this capacity. And I think all over Europe, if you look at the industrial tradition, the know-how that exists, and how this know-how, if you spot what you have to correct in order to attract new industries, this can be a very interesting kind of approach, also to attract industries that are now supported by STEP. So these future-oriented areas in which what we have here is a chance to move from looking backwards and being in a defensive position, trying to maintain what cannot survive unless you really go on using money artificially to keep them alive, into a kind of future-oriented, attracting with these characteristics the most promising industries of the future. And if you manage to do that, I think we can really bring past strong industrial areas in European history, because when we are talking about all these areas, they were the engines of Europe, and people feel that also from a kind of pride approach. They feel it, and we can show them that there is a future now in the new technologies, in the high-profile industries that can bring them forward exactly as the engines of the Europe of the future, and not the memory of the industry of the past. And I think also from a self resilience and pride of these strong regions of Europe, I think we need to approach it from also this know-how, technology, research approach, and it's very important. And dziękuję pardon, for bringing this here, because I think you are sharing a model that can be used with the right adaptations probably all over, and can really help to understand what are the potentials of the areas, each of them with its problems. Of course, we are not talking about Sweden or northern Sweden or mid-Sweden. That for us is ultra-north. But in fact, you can really have other advantages there that you don't have in other places. So each region, or Peloponnese, we were just there a couple of weeks ago, and in Megalopolis and in Tripoli, and you can really offer things that you cannot find anywhere else. So if we get the right matches and if you research on where they are, I think we can get a good result of this. So I thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, changing and preserving an identity of a region, so important, preserving the pride and getting an identity that will take you forward to the future and bringing everybody along. But yeah, going back to the data and understanding what is there. Just let me ask the audience here in the room, who feels that they could really do with understanding more about the specific land that they have and the potential for it? Does anybody feel they need more data on what they actually have? Yeah, hands in the room. Yeah, you need to understand what you have before you start moving on to the future. There will be people who are still at that stage of the transition. Let me open the floor to questions and also online as well. So if you are watching us via swap card, there's a Q&A function. If you're here in the room, we can take some questions. Raise your hand. I've got some microphones here. What I'm going to do is start with some very general topics, but I'd like to hear your specific approach to them. So the general topics will probably touch all of you. Let's hear the specific approaches. And I'm going to start with something we've already mentioned, people moving. How do you attract people, keep communities together? And if you are changing an area, how do you change that community? Keep the community, but change it by bringing more people in. Have you had success, Frederick, with doing that? I know Henk is nodding along, so I'll come to him in a moment. But Frederick, have you had success in bringing more people in?
Well, what to say on that? I don't know if I can say so much about the success so far, but I see it as a really big challenge. So where we need support. I said that there's 120 billion euros of investments planned in the coming decades in this transition. But I mean, the real challenge is for the societies and the municipalities to meet the demands. I mean, the industries, they will invest in their factories and plants and going to the municipalities and looking for the attractive living and say, how can you help us to get the people here that will work on in our plants and factories? So that's more up to the municipalities to build this attractive society. So I think there we need help. So if you only fly in people, I mean, I think I saw some numbers on the peak on this construction site for H2 Green Steel, maybe about 5,000 workers on the steel mill. And then if we have the Luleå municipality, this is largest in Norrbotten, it's 80,000 people. And in Bodenmer, this is being built, it's maybe half. So then if there comes 5,000 extra people during construction time, where should they stay? Where should they live? They will not pay tax in the region, but they will use all the social welfare and expect things to work for them. And then when it's built, they will go away, maybe to the next site in northern Sweden and so on, and then it will be operators and workers at the factory. But it will not be 5,000 people, it will be much less. So how to manage these peaks during construction periods and then going into operation. I think there we really have challenges, and yeah.
So you're looking at fluctuating levels of people that you need. So you need to be able to attract them in, look after them, and then not, how can I put this, let them go when you don't need them, but still keep the community there as well.
Yeah. Keep some of them working at the sites and so on. Some of them will move on to next project and next location. But at the same time, we also need to build the society with schools, healthcare and everything for the new society. So this is a challenge.
That is a huge challenge. Henk is nodding. How would you approach this? What are you doing there? Have you had success in attracting, keeping people?
We have a lot of success in attracting young people because in Groningen we have a very popular university.
Just keep it a little closer because we're battling the rain here.
Sorry, we have a lot of success in attracting young people in Groningen. It's a very popular university city. But the other side is that after the study, people go away. This is what you mentioned as well. What we're trying to do is get to a higher status of entrepreneurship, so that the professional young people can stay in the region. What we need, therefore, is extra housing. In Groningen and Netherlands, the problem of housing is different than a lot of other European member states. We have a shortage of housing. We don't have enough houses to stock our people, to say. So that's a big issue. What we're trying to do with our programs, and Just Transition Fund is one of them, is try to make sure that the small entrepreneurs will survive, that they will keep on going the jobs. That's a very difficult one. And as I was mentioning in my earlier speech, we also need time because if the small entrepreneurs have to adjust to these times that are happening now, one of the biggest issues is not only the right personnel, but also the affordability and availability of energy. Energy prices are going up, and especially when you're in the high energy needed industries, a lot of industries say we can't cope anymore. It's almost end of business. And we cannot have that in Netherlands, not in Europe. We have to be on a level playing field. So I think it's a European Union also has to do something about energy pricing. Dutch government is already thinking about it. But how can we make sure that the industry in the Netherlands, and small entrepreneurships are one of them, are compatible with the rest of the world? It's a big issue. And we're trying to set the goal through fundings like Just Transition Fund or European Development Fund to set the goal. That's where we want to go with hydrogen. We invest a lot of money in the different colors of hydrogen, green and blue and white and purple. Every color is included in the Netherlands for that sake. But that's one way to go. But again, Commissioner, we need a little bit more time to make the transition really happen. We cannot do it in 5 years.
I think, yeah, it's a point that's coming across very clearly from you that you need more time to show results. The Commissioner is nodding along to that. Let's just concentrate on some of the challenges that you've mentioned and how you're overcoming them. One of them you mentioned where you have a lot of students, but then they leave. And also you have housing issues as well. So those that you are attracting in or trying to keep, you need to have the housing there. Lucas, do you want to come in on that? Any of those challenges you've been able to overcome or to tackle? Keeping people in an area, keeping young people in an area, or indeed the housing that's needed, and all the social security and the health and everything?
Yes, of course. Actually, I will be perfectly honest with you. The local community were quite skeptic about the project. I mean, everybody...
Sorry, we're skeptical, you said.
Yeah, skeptical, yeah. Of course. And pessimist, because after 25 years, or while you are waiting that the project will be finalized, and still it is not, then everybody would become skeptical. So, but I think that this has changed with the support of the JTS. We are basically bringing the hope for the local community that their energy prices will become more stable. Because when we are talking about the geothermal energy, we are talking first of all about the stability. The stability that, and we could clearly see it in other cases in Slovakia where geothermal-powered heating systems maintained stable prices for energies, even during the energy crisis. So this is one of the challenges that we had to face.
So I'm going to pick up on the word skeptical that you said your community felt, and we can understand that after so many years of nothing happening. What did you do to turn that community round, to convince them or engage them into your project? What were the little sort of carrots that you dangled, or was it just time and money?
Well, first of all, we brought on board all the specialists on geothermal energy. We tried to concentrate, focus on all specialists, also from other ministries. So we were trying to attract all the relevant stakeholders from the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Economy, State Geological Institute, and so on. And by this means, we try to persuade the people that this project is actually becoming a reality.
So you just had to convince them.
Exactly.
Okay, raise your hands for me if you've also had challenges with skepticism within your communities. Yeah, sorry, there was a lady there with a great big smile, and yes. Let's take some questions from the floor. Gentleman there, if we can get a microphone to you. Sir in the dark grey suit, I believe. Would you like to introduce your name first?
Sure. Andreas Brieger, I work for SM United, the European Organization of Small and Medium Businesses. The Commissioner used the word listening mode. I hear that very often now. And I was interested for the other participants. And first of all, I'm glad that some of you mentioned small, medium businesses as part of the Just Transition. How does consultation work on your level? So we have the national level, the local level. Anyone experienced with Just Transition councils that bring together those stakeholders who can give very valuable experiences, and SME organizations in particular?
Are you asking specifically about within the area,
within
area?
The area, yeah.
Right, okay.
Because somehow you need to take in those voices
Yep.
from us.
Okay, thank you very much. So, how have you brought your SMEs, and I'm going to bring in entrepreneurs as well, and startups to that? Absolutely. Go for it, Georges.
Thank you. Yes, for us it's a very important question in the context of our GTF in Médio Tejo. We create a forum with the main stakeholders of the territory, namely municipalities, namely public entities of employment, namely the local polytechnic university, and representatives of SMEs and the main companies of this territory to help us in define, in evaluate the implementation of GTF. And we began with this strategy to support investment, empresarial investment, and we are reflecting about other dimensions that we need to support. Example, the Polytech University, they prepared high qualified human resources, and we need articulate this Polytech University with the investment projects we are supporting, because as you said here, we need to maintain the young people in this territory. We need that. So we need to articulate the kind of skills they are preparing with the needs of the local companies, with the local investments we are made. So it's a process we are made with local stakeholders, namely representatives of SMEs. Yes.
So are you physically putting them in the same room? Is that what you do? You have like town hall meetings?
Some regularity.
Okay.
We made some reunions with them to reflect how the process is going, to air some suggestions.
And I'm guessing you then keep in touch, and it's the same,
Yes.
same people. Okay, there was another hand over there. I'm just going to, lovely, if we can have a microphone to that lady there. I'll come to you in a moment. But Christoph, let me come to you just to answer the gentleman's question again, because you are in a very interesting area where you are totally changing, in Greece this is, where you are totally changing the identity of the area and trying to attract lots of different SMEs into the area. How do you find them? Because if you're changing the dynamic of an area, they won't already be there. So how do you find them, What method do you use for talking to
What we do is that we engage the chambers of Peloponnese so that they can, we bring people together to talk about the possibilities and the investment fund in the area of Megalopolis. We also engage the University of Peloponnese. What we're planning to do instead, except for all this, is that we're planning to do road shows all over Greece to inform investments about the chances they have to invest in Megalopolis and the greater area, because we believe that we have to have that industrial park, because we believe that you have to have an area to call somebody to invest in in Peloponnese. You do not just have to say we will give funding. We have to say that there is a place where you can make your factory. We have made steps in that. We have already two large pharmaceutical companies investing in Tripolis, which is in the greater area of Megalopolis. They are going to create more than 800 jobs in the next 2 or 3 years. And we want to engage everybody in that and keep them informed in certain times so that they can always see the progress of the program and attract new people, new age people, because as I said before, we have a decrease in the population and an aging population. It's a difficult exercise to attract people coming back, to stay in the area of Megalopolis, because it's all going to change. It's difficult to persuade people that the change is going to be for good, because they are waiting for years to see things happening. But I think that we see things going on. Those pharmaceutical companies are coming. They're going to be 3 or 4, so they are going to create new jobs. And I think that keeping people informed in certain times with the chambers of commerce will help us.
So using already existing institutions like the Chambers of Commerce.
And of course, in the Bioeconomy Hub, we're planning to have co-working places and to use existing buildings as areas where the people can have their startups or their new companies, and they can work together.
So a lot of, and also something else you mentioned, you are keeping in touch on a regular basis. It's so important. Just a quick word from you, Jan, on this one, and then I'll come to the question there.
Yes, if you would like to know what is the story of Silesia, is that we are, and we are going to be industrial region. Therefore, for us, the constant dialogue with different types of investors, including SMEs, is crucial. But the other important issue is to avoid a brain drain process. Yep. As you can imagine, all industries, including mining, needs different specific technical skills and knowledge. And when you start transition, you can lose this potential. Therefore, keeping post-mining and post-industrial areas as a part of the development strategy means also a strategy for the young people and for the technicians and for the different types of knowledge that you have to keep in the region. Otherwise, you are lost from my perspective, or you are only awaiting for the easy way of investors that are using your area, spending money and moving somewhere else without using the potential and resources of the region. So for us, the transition is to keep identity and also to find our own way in between the transition process, because there is still mining, operating mining areas, and to build a new potential for investors and for the new industries.
Interesting point there. You say, Jan, that investors have to be fully invested in as much as not just the money, they actually have to really care about the region. Yeah, and really to get that identity and that sort of whole community feel with the investors as well. There's a lady down there with a question.
Thank you. I'm Lucie Durocher from the region Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur, one of the French regions also benefiting from the Just Transition Fund. Thank you very much for the presentation of these interesting projects. I have the feeling that they have in common to be complex projects involving a wide range of stakeholders, including potentially large companies. I have a very pragmatic question, let's say. I was wondering if you faced any challenges with regards to state aids and the application of the state aid framework to your projects, and if yes, how did you solve it, or what, to your understanding, should change in this framework to make the public funding to this kind of project easier?
Thank you. I can tell from your question that that is something that you obviously are struggling with or having that challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get one answer from the room if somebody wants to jump in with that. What I would like to do, because I'm conscious of time, if any of the panelists would like to have a conversation, a more in-depth conversation afterwards, I can imagine that's something that you would like. But who, just in a more overall sense, how you deal with any challenges with the state aid? Yeah, please, Lucas.
I may respond to this question. Yes, indeed, we had a lot of challenges with the compliance with the state aid rules while preparing this very complex project, because according to the General Bulk Exemption Regulation, it applied to the two different articles. So, and also there was another aspect that the General Bulk Exemption Regulation was at the time while we prepared this project changing. So what we have done is that we took on board our technical assistants from European Investment Bank, the colleagues from Jaspers, who basically helped us to put this the question and this issue to the major state and to resolve all the technical problems related to the state aid schemes.
Okay. I'm going to let you two have a conversation.
Also, thanks to our colleagues from Jaspers for their tremendous work on this issue. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure you're not the only one in the room that also would like to have more of a conversation. A lot more panels coming up later probably will be touching on that as well. I'm very conscious of time. Commissioner, you know, just to sort of end this, there is so much to talk about. Every project is different. Every project is tailored to its specific area. But I don't know about you, I can feel there is a lot of positivity and a lot of people saying, we've identified the challenges, we know what we do, and we can see a way forward.
That is absolutely right. And I think this is also the charm and the value of this, because by the end of this process, I think we have developed the know-how and methodologies that can help us to go through the future transitions much more easily. I would just like to share with you that as a background of the major changes that include aging, that include brain drain, that include the impact of the climate change. We just published last week the 9th cohesion report, in which I don't know if you still like printed reports. You can ask my cabinet and they will send it to you. But if not, download it, because this gives an overall description of how the region where you are operating has evolved in the recent, for instance, 20 years. And this helps a lot in identifying what are the major trends. The other aspect that I would like to underline as a common joint methodology, apart from this need for research and for knowledge and understanding what is the viability of our vision for the future, what are the assets of the area, what are the liabilities of the area, in a much more detailed way. This requires a lot of research. But it also requires that you put together the stakeholders. And when I talk about stakeholders, of course, there are the official ones, the Chamber of Commerce, of course, the trade unions. But from my past life and experience, where I mean, a lot of years ago, I managed the transition exactly in one of the areas. What I think is also important is to engage local people, but real local people, like the primary school teachers, like the local radio. Because often people, they don't, everything that is done at the high level, I mean, they don't understand what is happening. And they become very nervous, and rightly so. Because when the first time I went to Katowice, there was a miner, and he was telling me, look, I'm 54. I've always been a miner. What do you expect me to do? And he was really upset. And of course, I would be very upset if I was there. So what will happen has got to be shared in this kind of fora, let's call it like this, or consulting, I mean, and of course, although also that goes without saying, with the trade unions, but even the parishes, they were sitting there, because it helps to create a community of hope that really creates prospects for the young people, and also for the not so young, in the sense of what their future can be. And my last comment, if you still allow me, would relate to the need that is not only in these areas, but also for regional development. You have got to have a coherent agenda from the different stakeholders. And that's why I think one of the important aspects of this instrument is that it can engage and give extra support, not only through the EIB, but also through the normal cohesion funding. So if you really want to retain young people, you have got to work on a package of infrastructure that includes, of course, the requalification of the urban center, some schooling, some simplified options for families, young families, to come and to stay and to think of developing a life in this area. And this kind of joint approach that combines the different, and there is funding for all of this. And of course, when we are talking about big companies, I would like to underline that the basic purpose was to create a network of small enterprises. The gentleman that asked about small companies, yes, small enterprises. And if a big company comes, please make sure that they create some roots in the area, that they have subcontractors, that they use the local, that keeps them for a long time in the area, and that they just don't come in as in our past. And that's why cohesion funding stopped financing multinationals, because in fact they were Bedouin tents. As soon as the support was over, they would move away. In fact, creating roots in the area, creating connections, and if you invite or if you have a big company, make sure that there is a cluster of small companies and dynamic companies that cluster around it and that create this kind of ecosystem that is resilient for the future. So I think in this kind of exchange, we just managed to understand so much of, okay, each case is a case, but there are a lot of common knowledge in the methodologies that we can apply and should apply in approaching the progress of these areas. And I just hope that the next time we meet, we have, this is just a sample, but I try to visit all these areas in Europe, and I see so much local energy. And please don't forget the young, qualified people, because they want to contribute. They are very generous, and I think we really have a huge power in them, but we have got to give them conditions for them to decide to stay and not to be kind of kicked out of the place where they would like to be and having to move somewhere else to put their talents to the service of non-European communities. I mean, it's fair enough, but if we can retain them for our own benefit, the best for all of us. So thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Very, very important. Identify them and keep them in the area. Very much so. I have a challenge for you just to end. The Commissioner just mentioned primary school teachers. Who here has engaged primary school teachers? No? Primary school, for little children. Yeah, oh, yes, okay, right. Yep, brilliant. Anyone else in the audience engaged primary school teachers to spread their message? There's a good smattering of hands. Who is now going to get in touch with the rest of their team and say, we need to talk to the primary school teachers? That is definitely the way forward. Definitely the way forward. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your rapt attention to our panel. Commissioner and delegates, thank you so much. Thank you.
Szanowna Pani Komisarz, Szanowni Państwo, nazywam się Alicja Messerschmidt, przyjechałam z Polski, z Wielkopolski, z Zagłębia Konińskiego. Z uwagą jeszcze raz, nazywam się Alicja Messerschmidt, przyjechałam z Wielkopolski, z Konina i chciałabym dzisiaj odnieść się do tego, co tutaj pani komisarz, co panowie mówili. Pani komisarz była uprzejma powiedzieć, że na tej sali znajdują się osoby, które mają już transformację za sobą, bądź też przystępują do transformacji. My się znajdujemy w takim czasie, że dziś w zasadzie mija 5 lat od tego, jak zaczęliśmy przygodę z transformacją. W lipcu 2019 roku przyjechałam na pierwszą platformę pogórniczą, ażeby uczyć się tego, jak wygląda transformacja górnicza. Zagłębie Konińskie przechodzi właśnie taką transformację i dziś już mamy sukces, wielki sukces, ponieważ mamy program pracowniczy, który będzie obejmował 2200 pracowników, na który przeznaczone jest 280 milionów złotych, z tego 180 milionów z transformacji z funduszy europejskich, a 70 milionów z budżetu państwa. Proszę Państwa, zabezpieczyliśmy wszystkich pracowników, zabezpieczyliśmy każdą rodzinę i jestem z tego szczęśliwa. Przyjeżdżając do Komisji Europejskiej zawsze znajdowałam drzwi pootwierane wszędzie. To, że uzyskaliśmy te fundusze, to jest również nasza zasługa jako związkowców. Pani komisarz również tutaj wspominała o związkowcach, więc ja jestem przewodniczącą Związku Zawodowego Kadra Kopalni Konin. I tak naprawdę to my tutaj przyjeżdżaliśmy po to i to byliśmy naprawdę bardzo, bardzo częstymi gośćmi, gdzie mówiliśmy o swoich problemach. Nie tylko, że mówiliśmy, ale byliśmy słyszalni. I to jest najważniejsze dla nas, że ktoś nas słuchał. Oprócz tego prowadziliśmy również rozmowy i z rządem polskim poprzedniej kadencji i obecnej kadencji, także również bardzo dobre kontakty i z Komisją Europejską, podkreślam jeszcze raz, naprawdę tak dobre relacje, co zaskutkowało tym, że dziś zaopiekowani są wszyscy pracownicy kopalni Konin. No jak to w rodzinie bywa, nieraz jest tak też, że są pewne nieporozumienia u siebie w rodzinie. Mało kontaktów, mało spotkań czy zainteresowania, rozmów. Życzyłabym sobie więcej, żeby Urząd Marszałkowski z nami rozmawiał, żeby Wojewódzki Urząd Pracy również z nami rozmawiał tak, jak powinniśmy, jak partnerzy. I myślę, że to wszystko jest do zrobienia, ale mamy mówić szczerze, to mówimy szczerze i do bólu. W każdym bądź razie myślę, że to wszystko wróci w rodzinne kręgi i usiądziemy przy okrągłym stole i będziemy rozmawiać. Pani komisarz, dziś chciałam Pani bardzo, bardzo serdecznie podziękować za wszystko i na Pani ręce złożyć wiązankę kwiatów dla całej Komisji Europejskiej. Nie będzie to wyrazem naszego szacunku, że warto rozmawiać, warto siadać do stołu, warto mówić i warto zawalczyć o te pieniądze. Jeszcze raz bardzo, bardzo serdecznie dziękuję.
Thank you. And a moment for photographs there with the team there. It is so nice to see Just Transition projects starting to see results and success within the community. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break now for lunch. Before you all leave to get refreshments, let me just tell you, I know you're all looking for more information about what you can do with your projects, so we have lots of exhibition stands for you. Also, 2 stands with further support for regions. So if you want to talk to anyone about the toolkits or anything that you've heard here or any of the knowledge products, they can help. So you will find the JTP and also the EU Coal Regions in Transition Initiative stands through in the catering area. We're going to start again at 1:30. And so what I would do is encourage you to meet your fellow delegates, find out more about people's projects and discuss some of the challenges and also the solutions that you have found. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this morning, and a final thank you to our panelists. Thank you.